Welcome back, everybody. Nintendo's E3 presentation is over, and we've got plenty to talk about. I'm Jim Hatfield, and this is the post-show. At 11:15, we will have a live demo of Super Mario Odyssey. You don't want to miss that. Joining me once again to break down all the Nintendo news, Daniel Krupa, Miranda Sanchez, and Brian Altano.
Hey.
Guys, what do you think of Nintendo this year?
I'm incredibly excited about that. It really feels like they're firing on all cylinders. They gave us not one, but 2 Metroid games today.
Yeah.
We heard about a new Pokemon game coming to Switch. We heard about, okay, you know what, let's pace ourselves here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I've been waiting for a lot of this for a long time.
Let's talk about Metroid 4 first for the Nintendo Switch, and also Metroid, Samus Returns for 3DS. For the Switch, for Metroid Prime 4, we just got a logo reveal.
Yeah.
Was that enough to get you
flashy.
excited?
Yes, I mean, so it's a cheap E3 trick. Let's get that out of the way.
Sure.
Just put up a logo, right? Especially you take an existing logo, you put a 4 next to it.
Yeah.
I could have done that in Photoshop on my phone. But we know this is happening. It's acknowledgement of an actual legit Metroid Prime sequel. What we do know is it's not being worked on by Retro. It's being worked on by a new team.
Yeah, described as a talented new development team. But Tanabe, who oversaw the first 3 games, is involved and overseeing this one.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so important to maintain just continuity and also make sure the fans are happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Krupa, are you surprised? I wasn't really expecting a new Metroid Prime.
I think it's been gone so long now that if there wasn't an announcement, it wouldn't have surprised me. But it's kind of satisfying, like you say, it's a little bit of a cheap trick just to have the title treatment.
Right.
But it's kind of enough after such a long wait.
Guys,
I think Beyond Good and Evil went the other way with a full CG trailer. But I think that's just enough right now. It's obviously very early in development.
If we could all go crazy for a Shenmue logo a few years ago at Sony's press conference, and we could do the same for Metroid. Metroid is such a just darling franchise to Nintendo fans. Many of us grew up with it. It's been around for so long that the IGN logo used to look like that. That's how long Metroid's been around. But the last Metroid we got was Federation Force, which was not really a Metroid game.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to call it that. We've only had really, if you think about, aside from Other M, there have been 3 specific Metroid Prime games. They were available for the GameCube and the Wii, respectively. We saw them get ported. We saw them again on Wii U, where you could download them. Motion controls are added and stuff like that. But for the most part, this is a franchise we haven't heard about in a long time. So I'm really interested in the way it's going to come back. The Switch is capable of some really incredible graphics. There is the ability of doing motion control stuff with the Joy-Cons if you pop those off. Not a lot of people know that. But I think there's room here for a really fantastic Metroid Prime game. And it's time.
Yeah, so coming to Switch, anything new that you want to see or anything that the series hasn't explored thus far?
I think specifically, I know what I don't want it to do, and that's a lot of the stuff we saw in Other M, right? Which is like, had a lot of good ideas, but I think overall most Metroid fans understand that that's not really up there with, say, Super Metroid or the Prime games. The 2.5D to first person to 3D kind of stuff is not very necessary. I'm interested to see if it leans into a sort of like more dynamic lock-on, move around, dual camera, analog control stuff, because first-person shooters have evolved a lot since Metroid Prime.
I'm like, because it's been such a hiatus for that series, I don't think it has to dramatically reinvent itself. I think people would like to see what those games did on the new hardware.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so we've got an amazing new Zelda game already. The new Mario game looks amazing. Like, can Nintendo achieve that level of...
I think they're so incredibly smart, especially with these like long-standing franchises. You know, Zelda's been around for so long, and I think people not fatigued of Zelda, but you get used to its format. And they did some very smart reinvention for the series in Breath of the Wild. It looks like they're doing that with Mario Odyssey. So I think they're having that conversation right now around Metroid.
I really hope so. I think that once predictability gets pulled away from a lot of these franchises, which is what we saw with Breath of the Wild specifically, you didn't really know what you're going to expect in that game. They took away all the notions.
Yeah, but bizarrely, you ended up with a more Zelda-feeling game, if anything.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Amazingly, Metroid Prime 4 is not the only Metroid game that was announced today. Coming out soon on 3DS is Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of the Game Boy sequel Metroid 2 Return of Samus.
Yes, which...
I like the name change there. It's very simple, but it's like...
It's a cool little remix, right?
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of devotion to that game in many ways, but what we're not seeing is how sort of murky and green and yellow that game used to be. That game used to have no map. It was very difficult to play. So they've added a ton of stuff that I think is going to make it much better. The combat looks a lot more fluid. You're seeing a lot of new options in terms of weaponry, which were not really in the original. The original had, just missiles and your basic proton shooter, and then you had a ball. That was it. So this is all taken away. We've got boss fights now that are way more cool. The map on the lower screen. You'll be able to play it all on 3DS. I'll say I was a little bummed out that this isn't coming to Switch, but there are millions of 3DSs out there.
I actually wonder if this is going to be the first of several Metroid announcements. Like if Prime 4 is the big Metroid game we're heading towards. It's been on hiatus for a long time. Are there going to be more Metroid games, more Metroid spin-offs to get people ready for that big one?
It's possible.
Yeah, a collection or something would be really nice for people who missed out on the originals. I mean, that's a big thing for catch-up and like a really appealing thing for new players, I think.
I totally agree. It's very odd if you look at the sort of trajectory of the Metroid 2D franchise, because specifically there have only been a few of them that were original games. You had the original, you had this one at the first time, you had Super Metroid, and then you had, not Zero Mission. Fusion. Yeah. Now Zero Mission was a remake of the NES version, and this is a remake of the Game Boy version. So the last two 2D Metroid games have been remakes.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
But this one has a very different art style.
Yeah.
Tell me, how do you feel about the way this game looks?
It feels like they took some character models from Other M, which, is not a bad thing, and a lot of the UI and sort of music cues from Prime, and then it's got the map layout of the original, so it's kind of this awesome Metroid mixtape. Like they took a lot of great parts from different Metroid games and sort of fused them together to make this new thing, which I'm super into.
If it reminds anyone of the last 3DS Castlevania game, I think it's because it's the same developer.
It is.
That works on that
Mercury
game.
Steam, a Spanish-based developer.
Miranda, what do you think of the visual style of Samus Returns?
It's good. It fits with the 3DS style, I think, very well. I was really impressed by how, like we were talking about the boss fights, those looked really good, and all the technical details that you're talking about on the stream. They devoted a lot of time to showing off the gameplay, and I was like really excited about it and to dig back into that game. And also the new improvements they have with like all the different weapons and all the different functionality. Also, Amiibo.
The Amiibo
of
are
course.
adorable.
Yes,
they're really well done.
Squeezy Amiibo.
They're squishy Amiibo.
There's a squishy Metroid Amiibo, and then Samus and the pose from the box art, which is pretty cool.
Which is really cool.
I know why they went with the 3D models in the 2D environments is because they have these cinematic moments where the camera zooms in during the boss fights. But Krupa, would you have preferred a classic, like pixelated retro look?
Like, it'd be great, like, we've seen a lot of games recently where you can switch on the fly between the two. I would have liked that feature if that's not too hard to implement. But I wonder if they're just, I suppose if you're introducing this game to a new audience, maybe there's a certain kind of look that you want to go for to get them in the door. So they don't kind of just go, oh, this is all retro game.
Yeah,
this is another old game. I don't need to play it now.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, we also got the reveal of a new Kirby game, which is just called Kirby for now. What was your first impression of this one?
It's gorgeous, right? We have a running joke on Nintendo Voice Chat that when a system is about to go away in Nintendo world, they send out the Kirby's. That's one of Pear's jokes. But we're getting
just
Kirby
because it was it was a late
he's always
NES game, right?
He's there to say goodbye and send a system off into the end.
Oh, so the Switch did not last very long.
Oh,
I guess that's it for the Switch. No, we're getting a Kirby game very early on. It's got multiplayer. It's giving me sort of Smash Brothers vibes in the way you can play 4 players at the same time. The item stuff looks really cool. You can sort of tag in characters as friends now instead of just inhaling their abilities. For once, instead of just putting them in your stomach, they can walk around with you, which is, I think, a genuinely nice thing for Kirby to do after decades of inhaling people. This looks really fun. The art's gorgeous. This tree is back.
Yep.
We hate this tree.
Cannot get rid of this tree.
We've been fighting this tree for 30 years now. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, Miranda, how did the new Kirby game strike you?
So I'm not a huge fan of Kirby, even though it's super cute. Yeah. I love the design and all the aesthetic of Kirby. This is one that I actually really want to play because of playing with friends, and I just like love sharing my Switch with other people. Yeah. And just having people have their own abilities, not eating them, is really polite and a nice way to team up with other people.
I think what you're saying is perfect too about the multiplayer aspect is being able to pop off the Joy-Cons on the side and just play multiplayer anywhere with a game like this.
That was actually such a big message of that spotlight is. This is a multiplayer console.
Yes.
Whether you're on the couch or whether you're in playing football down the street or in a cafe, you can play and enjoy these games. And I like the mixture of like, it looks a little bit like 3D World where you've got a mixture of maybe cooperation, but also competitive.
Yeah. Well, Kirby games often have like a cool gimmick. Like remember on the DS, you could use a stylus to draw paths for Kirby, and then there was Kirby Epic Yarn. Do you think the sort of angle or gimmick for this one is the multiplayer?
Maybe. I also just like all the elemental abilities too. Like you saw them sharing abilities like, hey, put this bomb and put water on it so we can throw them at people and just be more effective in our attacks. Like just more of that too. Like figuring out how to be cooperative tactfully is really interesting.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like a reinvention along the lines of Breath of the Wild or like what we were asking for Metroid. It's definitely a safe, fun Kirby game, but it's taking all the stuff it's ever done well and throwing it all at you at the same time, which can't go wrong.
Well, along with Kirby, there's a new Yoshi. We saw a gameplay trailer for the new Yoshi game, which is also just currently called Yoshi.
Yeah, and it looks like an evolution of the last 2 Yoshi games, the Woolly World games, which I reviewed, and it's that kind of arts and crafts aesthetic, but instead of the wool this time, you've got kind of toilet rolls and crayon scribbles, and it's like really charming, and there's that mechanic which is in Woolly World where you kind of flip perspective, and that seems quite core to the experience.
Yeah, whichever Nintendo grandma is crafting all these games, they're really putting it to work. Yeah, she's got their little knitting set.
Oh yeah, they got like all the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts making art projects together. It's like a bunch of like, all right guys, design a level.
We found out that this game is running on Unreal Engine 4, which I think is fascinating. You don't really see stuff like that from Nintendo, so this is cool. We've seen Unreal Engine 4 games on Switch before, something like Snake Pass, and they work really well. They're gorgeous. It's a good way to sort of like, especially with this 2D or this kind of cartoony art style, it's a really good way to flex how colorful and how bright and crazy this system can really perform.
Does it look like there's multiplayer in this one as well?
I would think so. I mean, you see some stuff right here, right? The last few games in the Yoshi cinematic universe that have looked like this have been multiplayer. So I love this dragon, by the way.
Me too. It's so cute.
Well, I think Nintendo said they were focusing on games that were coming soon or this year. So do you think both Kirby and Yoshi are coming this year?
No,
this is 2018.
Yeah, I think those were like the 2 little teasers for next year, as well as Pokemon. Just like there's other stuff on the horizon.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let's talk about it right now, actually. Nintendo just wrapped up its E3 briefing, and it's time to break down the biggest moments. IGN's Keys to the Conference is presented by the all-new Honda Civic Si. Number one, I mean, the biggest reveal had to be Super Mario Odyssey, right?
Oh my God.
Yes.
There have been a lot of moments this E3 where people were shouting with glee here in the IGN War Room, but I think during that trailer it was just nonstop because there were so many cool things revealed.
Dinosaur.
Shouting and laughter. Like the trailer begins in a brilliant way because it's great, like bait and switch, because it's not a dinosaur in Mario's art style, which I think is really important. This is that weirdness that we saw a year ago when he went to New Donk City and you saw people. Like he's going to places he's never even visited before, and that's why stuff doesn't even look like in the Mario style.
Right. He looks like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, which makes sense because they're making a universal theme park together. I mean, who knows if this is all coming together in that way. You were talking before about sort of Nintendo games having this like specific hook or like an angle to them. This new like hat possession mechanic is incredibly cool looking, and there's weird rules to it. Like you can't just go possess every Goomba, but certain Goombas I guess are dumb enough to fall for it, or
if enemies are wearing a hat, you have to knock the hat off first before you can possess
them.
So
how about just don't wear a hat if you're an enemy? Problem solved. This stuff was really cool because this reminded me a lot of the platforming stuff in Galaxy, where it gets specifically a little bit more difficult, right? And we saw him skip over a couple purple coins, to which I was looking at the screen being like, I wouldn't have done that. I would have gotten every one of those.
No, you hang on, you go back.
You hang on, you go back, you get those coins, you 100% this game, you get everything.
We are, in just about 5 minutes, we are going to have Super Mario Odyssey here on the show, so definitely stay tuned for that. The second big reveal of Nintendo's presentation today, 2 new Metroid games, Metroid Prime 4 and Metroid Samus Returns for 3DS.
I can't imagine like which one I'm more excited for right now. Like, which is such a weird problem to have.
At least the 3DS game is coming much sooner.
Yeah, so it's like while you're waiting for the next one, just play Samus Returns. Good time.
We haven't had this problem in like 15 years, where there was a Prime game coming and a 2D Metroid game coming at the exact same time.
And now we're complaining about
it. Now we have it again. We don't know where to start. It's pretty amazing. It's a good problem to have, especially after years of no Metroid.
It's Nintendo finally listening. I mean, how long have people been demanding a new Metroid game, right?
And they did it in a way where the 2D fans couldn't be like, you disappointed me, and the 3D fans couldn't be like, disappointed. They're like, everyone gets something. Everyone's happy. Leave us alone for a little while.
Yeah, we're looking at, this is what? Metroid Samus Returns.
Or Return of Samus. You can call it what you want.
Look at that background. It looks so good.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around. I was a little disappointed in the art style right at first, but I think I'm starting to come around on it.
Yeah, I think you totally nailed it before, Damon, when you said that the reason this game isn't 2D is because it allows them to do these sort of pop zoom, more cinematic moments, which I think we're seeing working for the boss fights. When Samus goes in for like a finishing move, the camera spins around, and that's basically impossible to do in 2D.
So then Metroid Prime 4, it says it's currently in development for Nintendo Switch. Would you hope for 2018, or do you think that's actually?
I would hope for 2018.
But
I think the fact that we saw Kirby and Yoshi and they're 2018, and we have gameplay of both of them, makes me think Metroid might be very late 2018, or even beyond that. Really.
Yeah. My guess would be 2019 at the absolute earliest for this game. I think this is going to take a lot of work, and you know, I think they just got started on this.
Yeah.
And finally, Miranda, they didn't have anything to show, but it is a pretty revolutionary announcement that there is a mainline Pokemon RPG in development for Switch.
So that is huge because there has never been a mainline Pokemon on consoles. And they've always been like the spin-offs or the side games, and that's fun. And it's just really exciting to see them bring one, and also really a little nervous because you're taking away that second screen, which has so much utility. And I think that's a really good opportunity for Nintendo to, and Pokemon Company, to like essentially reinvent, like kind of like they did with Breath of the Wild.
Rethinking all these long-standing franchises to ensure they have a future, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's really exciting. I know when I was running Pokemon Sun and Moon on my old 3DS XL, it was chugging. Like it had some frame rate issues. It was just like, come on, guys, you can do it. We just got to win this battle, and then you guys can take a break. And so having the power of the Switch is going to be super exciting for what they can do potentially with this new Pokemon game.
There's also the aspect of portability, right? You can bring this thing anywhere and battle people and trade and stuff like that. I think that's like the immensely important aspect of this too. We are losing that second screen, which you've been playing Pokemon games on for like 15 years now.
Yeah, it is just built in. They've completely innovated it so much and so well for Pokemon Sun and Moon. And so like I'm a little worried like what they'll do to change that or to how to make up for that, because it does help so much in battle. Like I was like, well, you could split the screen in half, but that wouldn't look very good.
Right.
I think it's a long way off. Like, I think if you're thinking Metroid
they didn't even have
is 2019.
He's there time to make up the logo.
He was there poised with a pen or a piece of paper like he was about to do the title treatment.
Right. No, I used to do that trick in school where I'd be like, well, I don't have my homework, but I'm working on it. I promise. And like, you just have a blank page.
Pokemon. Sure. Pikachu's in it.
Yeah, just draw doodles on a page.
My only concern is that they didn't say anything about 3DS. And like, is this only coming to the Switch? Because that'd be really weird. But I guess we'll have to see.
The Switch is a portable console, so it's very exciting.